Good evening, everybody. Tonight I want to talk a little bit about my perspective and the focus of my channel. So, as everybody probably knows by this time after all of the videos I've put out, my focus has been how awesome the foreskin is. I talk about the foreskin from a scientific perspective / medical perspective, and also definitely from a personal experience perspective because I have my foreskin. And I feel that guys that have their foreskin need to speak up and tell people how awesome it is. Now, I don't talk so much from the aspect of the victims of circumcision, and that's because I am not a victim of circumcision. I escaped the knife, and I still have my foreskin. I feel that guys who have gone through that and had their foreskin stolen from them are more able to speak to that. And there's other channels, other venues, and things like that for people to speak of that. My focus is as a guy with his foreskin talking about how awesome it is and using my scientific and medical background and knowledge and research to back that up. So with that triple-pronged approach of science, medicine, and personal experience. And that's where I go about this. Another thing that people have asked me about before is about restoration. That's another topic that I don't really talk about a whole lot because, again, I don't have the experience with restoring. And I feel that people that have gone through that experience and know the ups and downs and the methods and stuff like that are best able to speak to that sort of thing. Like I said, there's other venues and other things for people to better explain that because they have that personal experience. That is not an aspect that I tend to focus on. And so that's one of the focuses of my channel. And like I've mentioned before, in a few months, so my boyfriend, who is also has his foreskin, is going to join me, and so we will continue with that perspective of talking from the aspect of guys who have their foreskin and are very happy that we have it. And so that's my focus. The other thing is that, and when it comes to how I talk about it, the terms, that I use, I don't believe that, and this goes for everything in life. I don't believe in the philosophy of all opinions are valid, all views are valid. Some are right and some are wrong, and that's where we may disagree, because the way of things that I think are right or wrong, someone else may not agree with me, and that's fine. They can use their own, whatever their thing is on their own channel or whatever. However, I mean, because if everything was valid, then I'd have to say someone who thinks circumcision is great and the way to go is valid, and I don't. I don't agree with that. Never will. Never have, and never will in the future. Now, if a guy, as an adult, wants to get circumcised, he may have the right to do that. But if he asked me, I'm going to tell him that's a crazy idea and not to do it. I'm not going to tell him that idea is valid or good or he needs to do what's best for him. I'm going to tell him, you will regret it later. You'll wish you hadn't done it. And I think that's the best way to support people is you gotta be honest with them. And so that's what I would do. If someone ever told me that they were going to get circumcised, I'm going to be like, don't do it. Don't do it. And hopefully, as people get more awareness of how awesome the foreskin is, there will be less and less people who will do that. Because my fear is the vast majority of guys, again, I'm not saying that a lot of people go and get circumcised as adults. I don't think it's super common, but those that do, I think it's because people have given in to peer pressure. Oh, they were told that girls wouldn't like it. They were told it was unhygienic or unsanitary or whatever. And so, or doctors told them, oh, it's healthier to do it. And so they gave in to this pressure and they did it. Not because they really wanted to get rid of their foreskin. You know, there's a meme that I've seen, and I don't remember who created the meme, and there's different varieties of it, but it says something about the only problem a guy's ever going to have with his foreskin is that someone else has a problem with it. And I think that's very true, because, you know, in Europe, guys aren't self-conscious that they have their foreskin. They're just not, because the vast majority of them do. It's just normal. You know, there's no, it's not even something that they think about nearly as much, because they expect, when they see a penis, they expect it to have foreskin. You know, that's just how it is, because so many, the vast majority of guys are not circumcised. And whereas here in the United States, when someone sees, like for example, me as a guy born in the Midwest, my age, location, all of that, they assume that I'm circumcised. And they're kind of surprised, like, oh, you're not circumcised? Were you born in Europe? And it's like, nope, I was lucky enough to escape the knife. And I think that's what people need to realize, because every day you constantly hear people that still harp on this, oh, it's healthier, it's healthier, it's healthier. And that's what we need to eradicate. And we need to raise that awareness so that people think. I mean, one of those common things, I've talked about this before, people think that, oh, you know, oh, I knew so-and-so who wasn't circumcised and he wished his parents had done it when he was a baby. Once again, I don't think that guy, any guy in his right mind, is not going to have wanted to lose his foreskin, because he's got to know how pleasurable it is, how awesome it is, and all that. The problem is he's been made to feel bad about it by other people who have a problem with it. And he's giving in to that peer pressure and buying into those myths and lies that people say. And so that's what we need to, through education, we need to get them to realize that what other people are saying against the foreskin is not true. And that's why I am constantly putting out this channel and these videos to try to get as big a following as possible, so that I can get people to realize, you know, not only the scientific and medical knowledge there that backs up the fact that circumcision is crazy. There's no reason for it. Absolutely none. And that the foreskin is awesome. But unfortunately, people put more stock in, oh, well, I knew this guy who hated it. And they seem to think that this is everybody. And so they need to realize that there are those of us out there, and I think more and more guys who, as they learn that other people are proud of having their foreskin, then they will also become more positive about it as well. I have come across quite a few guys that have become more proud. You know, when they see how I talk about it, they have become proud, or at least more happy with the fact that they have their foreskin. And they are much more comfortable with it. And that makes me happy, because that says, you know, what I'm saying is working. It's getting guys who have their foreskin to be happy about it, proud about it, and hopefully speaking up and spreading it to others, you know, and telling them how great it is and things like that. I also have come across so many guys that will say, yeah, you know, I wish I had mine. You know, and maybe, you know, these are the same guys that if they were in a room full of circumcised men, maybe they would be afraid to admit it. Maybe they would refuse. They'd be like, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with my dick," or whatever. They would probably be pretty defensive about it or whatever. But if you talk to them one on one or whatever, then they'll admit that, yeah, I wish I had mine, or at least they'll say they wish they had the choice. And I think, and that's what we have to get across to people is, no one has the right to take this from someone else. I don't care if you're a doctor. I don't care if you're the parents. You don't have the right to cut off a body part. Why is anyone allowed to cut off the body part without the permission of the person that it belongs to? Like I've mentioned before, if someone were to say, hey, we're just going to chop off an earlobe, or we're going to just chop off a finger because that's what we do, it's best for our family, children will be removed from their parents' homes for child abuse. And yet, the foreskin, they're encouraged to do it. The foreskin is just as important as any other part of the body. So we all need to keep working to get people to see the foreskin in a positive light. When they hear foreskin, they should, at least when I hear foreskin, I smile. The idea of foreskin makes me happy. I know it's great and awesome. I'm proud to have mine. I'm happy that my boyfriend has his. He's happy that he has his. He's happy that I have mine. And, and we want to work together to continue to speak out against the practice of circumcision. There's just absolutely no reason for it, and it needs to stop. I hope everybody has a great week.